Johnson, but you can call her Dr. Johnson. And we're live at my house. Well, not live, but we're at my house. 2017, August 21st. The solar eclipse happened a few hours ago. This was total solar eclipse. But anyway, she's been to Tanzania and a few other countries. She left Ethiopia. Now she's going to Washington, D.C. She stopped by here for the night. She's just going to head back on the road here. And this is her little dog. She has an Ethiopian name. Well, it's not an Ethiopian name, but it's an Ethiopian word. Two of them mixed together. She found out the name was a great name. This is our first time meeting that little guy and meeting Dr. Johnson. So we're going to talk about her and Ethiopia. So what was it like to swim with sharks?
Oh, so that's a great question, and thank you for the great introduction. I really appreciate it. You did an excellent job.
Oh, and the channel is the James Tomlinson channel.
Awesome channel. So, I was actually swimming with sharks in South Africa, and I went with my dad because he wanted to go.
So were you swimming in a cage or something?
We were in a cage. So what they would do is the water was really cold, so I had to put on wetsuits, and we would zip all the way up to our chin, and then we would put hoods on our heads, and then six or eight of us would get in the cage at a time. And just like you and I are sitting on the couch right now next to each other, we would all line up. And then there was a bar that you would hold on to. And when we couldn't see the sharks because the water was kind of murky, and all of a sudden someone on the boat would shout, "Get down!" And you would take your hands and you would push yourself under the water, and you had goggles on, and you would see the shark swim right up next to you, right up next to the cage.
Got it. So did you ever get attacked in there or something?
No, I think it's pretty safe. Otherwise, they wouldn't take tourists out.
So were they trained or something?
The sharks?
Yeah.
No, this was just out in the ocean. So you didn't know how many sharks were going to come up, but the area is called Shark Alley, and it's very safe because they're not feeding in that alley. They've already eaten before they come into the alley, so they're not hungry. So that way, when you go under and you see them, you know they're not going to attack you. They're just kind of interested in who you are and what you're doing there.
So did they stare at you, make funny looks at you?
I don't think so. There were a couple times that they thrashed their tails around and they would move kind of quickly. But it was really cool because when you were in the water, it was hard to see them. But when you were on top of the water, what you would do is, like when my dad got in the cage, I was standing up on top and I could see down so I could see the shark approaching. But he couldn't see it because he was in the water next to the boat. So it was kind of cool to have two different perspectives.
Got it. So, like, what languages can you speak?
Oh, that's a great question. My English is pretty good. What did you say?
Like, what other languages?
Oh, other languages. So, I'm still working on English, but I do a little bit of Swahili, which they speak in Tanzania and Kenya and a few other countries in East Africa, and a little bit of Amharic, which is one of 80 languages they speak in Ethiopia.
Yeah, so speaking of Kenya, there's a priest down in Evansville named Father Chris. He's from Kenya.
Oh, cool. Have you met him?
Yeah, we're really good friends.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So, like, can you do a few Tanzanian words?
Sure. So all greetings are really important. So you know when you meet someone, you say, "Hi, how are you today?" You know how you just do usual greetings. So in Swahili, in Tanzania, greetings are very important. So when you meet an elder, anyone older than you, you start by saying "shikamo," and so the answer is "marahaba." So if you greeted me on the street, you would say "shikamo." Can you say that?
Shikamo.
Marahaba. So if you saw your grandma on the street, what would you say to her?
Shikamo.
And what would she say to you?
Marhaba.
Yeah, so that's how you greet elders. And then one of the really easy greetings is to say mambo, which kind of just means what's up. And the response is poa, which is cool.
So speaking about my grandma, this is my grandma right over here. Turn the camera.
It's okay.
You can be in the video. You're going to be on YouTube.
Okay.
It's Pat Ebuck.
Special guest.
My mom's mom.
Yeah, that's right.
So, I'm sorry if the dogs got in here. This is my little dog Max right here. I've already said the other dog's name.
Yeah.
Anyway, what is it like to live in Tanzania and Ethiopia? Is there a lot of like deserts? Is it like poor down there?
Those are really good questions. So even though Tanzania and Ethiopia are near each other, so Ethiopia is in the Horn of Africa, and then there's Kenya, and then there's Tanzania on the coast of Africa, on the east coast. So Tanzania is really cool because I lived there for 4 years, and you can go on safaris there, so you can see a lot of wildlife. Mount Kilimanjaro is located there, which is the tallest mountain in Africa.
Yeah.
And then there's beaches as well. So there's a lot of different things that you can do when you're in Tanzania. And then Ethiopia, even though it's not that far away, the culture is very different. It's landlocked, so there's no beaches. There's some really big mountains there, and there's some really low lands there as well.
So speaking about Mount Kilimanjaro, I have a book. Like it has Mount Kilimanjaro. It looks like Mount Kilimanjaro is like on a cloud because it's just so tall, and like it has elephants below it.
Yeah, Mount Kilimanjaro is located really close to what's called the safari circuit. So if you went to Tanzania, you could fly into what's called Kilimanjaro Airport. And if you go out to the main road and you turn right, you'd go towards Mount Kilimanjaro. And if you went left and drove for a couple hours, you'd be surrounded by animals out in the wildlife on safari.
So what animals did you see on your safari?
Oh, that's a great question. I've done safari in a couple different countries. You see giraffes and elephants and wildebeest.
I love wildebeest.
You do? They travel in herds, so there's a whole bunch of them. So there's also something called the Great Migration. Have you heard of the Great Migration?
Nope.
So the Great Migration is when animals move to find food and water. So at certain times of the year, you can go to Kenya or Tanzania and see hundreds of thousands of wildebeest and zebras. They travel together and they kind of move across the plains.
So have you been to Kenya?
I have been to Kenya, yes.
So what is it like to live there? What is it like to was it out like there in the deserts and stuff?
So I didn't live in Kenya. I lived in Ethiopia and in Tanzania, and I found the people in both places to be very, very nice and very communal. Remember how we were talking about the greetings earlier on?
Yeah, my friend Yosef, he's in my class. He was born in Ethiopia.
Oh, he was?
He was an orphan for a few years. Then someone adopted him.
Yeah, I worked with adoptions in Ethiopia.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, so I got to meet a lot of American parents and parents from other countries as well that were adopting Ethiopian children.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, my friend Yosef is very nice. I love geography.
Sounds like it.
I love other countries.
So can I ask you a few questions?
Yeah, sure.
So if you were going to travel to any country, where would you want to go?
I want to go to Iceland the most.
Oh, why Iceland?
I don't know. I just want to see if I can discover Atlantis. It's very rare right now. No one knows where it is. So I'm just gonna try to go there and stuff. I've been reading a lot of mystery books.
Oh, that sounds really cool. What other books do you like?
I read a lot of Hardy Boys.
Oh yeah?
My mom read a lot of Nancy Drew.
So you like the mystery books, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
My
so
mom
cool.
read a lot of Nancy Drew.
Oh, that's really cool.
I read a lot of Hardy Boys. At school, I'm reading this chapter book called The Deadly Dungeon.
Oh, I haven't heard of that.
It's A-to-Z book. It's really cool.
And you just started second grade, is that right?
Yes.
And what are you most excited about this year?
This year, I'm most excited about having fun, having nice tests, getting all my work done, and having a great school year. Going on to third grade.
That sounds awesome. Sounds like you're very focused.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, is there anything else you want to know?
What do you see in Ethiopia? What's there a lot of?
What's there a lot of in Ethiopia?
Yeah, in Ethiopia and Tanzania.
Ah, well, they're different countries, so there's a lot of different things in both of them. one of the things I really liked about Ethiopia, besides the people who are very kind, so one of the things that they do in Ethiopia, they wear a lot of white. So the women, just because of the Christianity, the religion, they'll cover their heads a lot, and they kind of wrap themselves in these soft white blankets that are just beautiful. And I don't know how they keep them so white. And I always thought it was beautiful to see these women and to see children and to see men all wearing white walking along the streets. It's very beautiful.
So did you wear a lot of white, or did you wear a lot of different colors?
No, I dressed just kind of the way I am now, unless I was at work, and then I was more formal.
So, what are all the countries that you have been to?
Oh, well, one of my goals is to visit the number of countries that I am in years. So right now I'm 38 years old, and I think I visited 38 countries. So when I turn 39 next year, then I have to go to another country. So I could list them all, but it would take a little while.
Smart. All right. Well, how did you find the name Kanji for your dog?
Oh, that's a great question. So in Ethiopia, the word Kanjo means beautiful. And there are a lot of females there whose names are Kanjit. And I thought if I called her Kanjit, people would just shorten her name to Kanji. So I just started calling her Kanji.
Because it sounds close to both names.
Yeah, because it's kind of like Kanjo, or a female's name.
Yeah, and sometimes beautiful means cute.
Yeah.
And like dogs are really cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're one of my favorite animals.
Yeah, me too.
So, what did the houses look like what you lived in?
Oh, that's another really good question. So in Ethiopia, I was fortunate enough to have a 3-bedroom house. So it was 1 story and 3 bedrooms. And most people there have really tall fences. So not like fences you see here in the US where they're crisscrossed and you can see through them. They have fences that are really tall just for security purposes. So Kanji and I had a 3-bedroom house, and I let some people stay with me, which was really cool because they were doing different things there. So I got to hear what they would experience all day. And we had a yard where Kanji could do anything she wanted.
So, what did Kanji play with and stuff? Did she have?
Do you know what she played with?
What?
She played with other dogs. So I had some really, really good friends in Ethiopia, and we all just happened to get dogs. And they were all dogs that we found on the street or that we rescued. And so she loved to play with her friends.
So, a lot of times this happens. Well, a lot of times our neighbors' dogs go loose without collars. Sometimes people are like, look, it's a stray, and they run after it. Sometimes I get there before them, sometimes I not. And when I don't get there before them, I just say, I know that belongs to.
Yeah.
And one, I only remember one of them. His name is Peanut. He lives across the street at Miss Steph and Miss Shelley's house.
Did you help her turn him one time?
Yeah.
Oh, that was a nice thing to do.
They live right over there. And it's really safe to help the dogs. So what kind of dogs did you rescue?
Well, I only rescued this dog, and my mom thinks she's a Canaan. So if you Google Canaans and you Google image search, you'll see dogs that look kind of like her. But there were a lot of other dogs on the street that were just mutts. They were just mixed dogs.
Got it. So do you wear a lot of flip-flops, or do you wear tennis shoes there?
So when I was in Tanzania, I loved to wear flip-flops because we were at the beach a lot and it was really hot out. We were near the equator. But in Ethiopia, we were it was landlocked, which means there was all the way around it were just other countries. There was no other ocean around there, and it was more dusty than Tanzania, so I would frequently wear closed-toed shoes.
Got it. So, what was your favorite part about it?
Do you know, I really like meeting people from different cultures and being able to understand their perspective and their view on the world and their view on life. So I think that was my favorite part, of just meeting other people.
All right. What do you do a lot? What's your job?
Oh, that's a great question. So my title is Foreign Service Officer for the Department of State. And so what I do is in Ethiopia, I was doing visas. So I was doing immigrant visas, so people who were coming here, like when my great grandma came here from Italy, or and then I was also doing adoption. So those were the two kind of areas I covered in Ethiopia.
Got it. So what countries do you really want to travel to?
Oh, that's a great question. You know, I've never been to Ireland. So right now I really want to go to Ireland and Spain and Morocco. Those are the ones I'm really interested in going to. But only to visit, not to live.
Got it. What are the countries that you really want to live at now?
That's a good question. You know, I really, I'm very lucky with my career. There will be a whole bunch of different countries I get to live in throughout my career. And so I kind of get to decide where I want to go in the world and then see if there are jobs available there or scout out if that's really where I want to live. So we'll see.
So what do you do in the State Department?
Well, like I said, in Ethiopia, I did immigrant visas. So people who have families living in the United States, if it was, I helped reunite the families. And then I helped with adoption. So there are a lot of people who come to adopt children, and I did a lot of research and paperwork to make sure everything was okay.
So does the State Department, do they help countries get along or something?
Yeah, they do. So that's a big part of what the State Department does is we kind of represent the U.S. interests overseas, and so we work with a lot of other countries. So even in Ethiopia, I would talk to my counterparts and my peers at the Spanish embassy or at the British embassy or at the South African embassy. So we do a lot of that. So a lot of just talking about what our policies are.
So why are you going back to Washington, D.C.?
Well, it's time for me to go to training. So I'm going to go to training and learn another language before I go to my next tour.
So you want to go to Pakistan next?
Next is Pakistan, yeah.
Where are you going after Pakistan?
I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that out. We'll see. Maybe I'll come back and be in Washington, D.C. for a little while.
Well, have you ever been to the White House or something?
I have. I was very lucky to get a tour of the White House.
My friend Malachi got to go to the White House
And
before.
what did Malachi think of the White House?
He loved it. He
Yeah.
got to meet the president there
Oh,
too.
that's pretty cool. I haven't been
President Obama.
Yeah, I haven't met any presidents yet, but maybe someday.
Well, there you have it, folks. All about countries. And goodbye. Say hello to your cameraman, Brian Tomlinson.
Hi. Good job, bud. Good job.
My grandmother was also in the show for just a minute. My little brother and Dr. Johnson and me, Eddie Tomlinson.
Well done.
Well, goodbye.
Good,
Hope you liked it. Bye. Just
can't wait to
remember, this
see
is
it.
the Eddie Tomlinson channel.
I can't wait to see it.